Andre Thompson stood on the terrace of Pinehurst Country Club in Scottsdale, Arizona, looking out over 18 holes of pristine golf course carved into the Sonoran desert landscape. The grass was impossibly green against the red rocks and saguaro cacti, maintained by a team of groundskeepers who worked through Arizona's brutal summer heat to keep the course tournament ready. It was beautiful. It was also, as of 3 days ago, his. Andre was 43 years old, a managing partner at Horizon Capital Partners, one of the Southwest's most successful investment firms. He'd spent 20 years building his career in finance, weathering the 2008 crisis, making smart bets on emerging markets, and cultivating a reputation for identifying undervalued assets that other investors overlooked. Pinehurst Country Club had been one of those overlooked assets. The club had been struggling financially for years, hemorrhaging members, facing maintenance costs that exceeded revenue, and operating with outdated business models. The previous ownership group had been desperate to sell, and Andre had structured a complex acquisition through one of Horizon Capital's subsidiary LLCs, purchasing not just the club, but the entire 247-acre property for $43 million. The deal had closed quietly, with minimal press coverage, and the country club's staff and members had been told only that new ownership was in place. They didn't know who the new owner was, and Andre wanted it that way. He planned to spend several weeks observing operations before revealing himself and implementing changes, but Andre also had a personal reason for being at Pinehurst today. He wanted to apply for family membership in the country club he now secretly owned. It was a test. Andre had heard stories from other successful black professionals in Arizona about discrimination at Scottsdale country clubs. The Phoenix metro area had a troubling history of exclusion in private clubs, and while overt racial restrictions had been illegal for decades, subtle discrimination persisted through culture fit assessments and subjective membership criteria. Andre wanted to see firsthand whether Pinehurst Country Club practiced the inclusive membership policies outlined in their bylaws, or whether discrimination still shaped who was welcomed and who was turned away. So he'd scheduled a membership interview using his real name, bringing his wife Monica, a pediatric surgeon, and their 2 children, Marcus, age 14, and Zoe, age 11. On paper, the Thompsons were ideal country club members: high income, professional careers, active interest in golf, and a desire for family recreational activities. The question was whether Kenneth Lawson, Pinehurst's membership director for 30 years, would see them that way, or see only a black family. Andre walked back inside from the terrace, where Monica and the kids were waiting in the club's elegant lobby. Marcus was looking at trophy cases displaying decades of club championship awards, all featuring names and photos of white men. Zoe was playing quietly on her iPad, occasionally glancing around at the oil paintings of past club presidents that lined the walls. "They're ready for us," Monica said, nodding toward a hallway where a receptionist stood waiting. The Thompson family followed the receptionist to a corner office with views of the 18th green. Behind a massive mahogany desk sat Kenneth Lawson, a silver-haired man in his mid-50s, wearing the club's traditional navy blazer with the Pinehurst crest embroidered on the breast pocket. Lawson stood as they entered, his smile polite but not warm. His eyes scanned the family with an expression Andre recognized immediately, surprise mixed with discomfort that a black family was sitting across from him, seeking membership in his club. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, welcome to Pinehurst. And these must be your children." Lawson's tone was professional but lacked the enthusiasm Andre had heard him use when greeting white families in the lobby earlier. "Yes, this is Marcus and Zoe," Andre said. "Thank you for meeting with us." "Of course, please have a seat." Lawson gestured to chairs facing his desk. The children sat on a leather sofa against the wall, Marcus with a book and Zoe still absorbed in her iPad. Lawson opened a folder with the Thompson family's membership application. "I've reviewed your preliminary application. Investment banking, is that correct, Mr. Thompson?" "Yes, I'm a managing partner at Horizon Capital Partners." "And Mrs. Thompson, you're a physician." "Pediatric surgeon at Phoenix Children's Hospital," Monica confirmed. Impressive credentials. Lawson's tone suggested this was unexpected rather than welcomed. "And you're interested in family membership here at Pinehurst?" "Yes, we've been looking for a country club that offers both golf facilities and family amenities. Pinehurst has an excellent reputation, and we live only 20 minutes away in Paradise Valley." Lawson nodded slowly. Paradise Valley is lovely, though I have to say most of our members come from more traditional Scottsdale neighborhoods. The demographic fit is important for club cohesion. The coded language was immediate. Traditional Scottsdale neighborhoods meant predominantly white, affluent areas. Paradise Valley, while equally affluent, had become more diverse in recent years as successful professionals of color moved into the area. I'm not sure I understand, Andre said carefully. Are you suggesting our neighborhood affects our membership eligibility? Not at all, Lawson said quickly. I'm simply noting that club culture is built around shared experiences and connections. Many of our members have known each other for decades, attended the same schools, belong to the same business networks. It's important that new members can integrate smoothly into that existing community. We're both professionals with extensive business and social connections in the Phoenix area, Monica said. I'm on the board of the Arizona Medical Association. Andre serves on the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. We're active in the community. Yes, I see that in your application. Lawson's tone suggested these credentials were somehow less relevant than the traditional connections he valued. However, I should mention that Pinehurst has a significant waiting list for family memberships. We're quite selective about who we admit. Your website indicates you're actively recruiting new members, Andre pointed out. There's a banner on the homepage encouraging applications. Well, yes, we're always interested in qualified applicants. But qualification involves more than just financial means. We assess cultural fit, social compatibility, and whether prospective members will contribute positively to the club's atmosphere. How do you assess those factors? Andre asked. Lawson shifted uncomfortably. It's somewhat subjective. The membership committee reviews applications holistically. We consider references from existing members, social connections within the club, and frankly, whether we think the applicant will be comfortable in our environment. Comfortable how? Pinehurst has a very specific culture, traditional, conservative, family-oriented in a particular way. Not everyone fits that culture, and that's not a judgment on them personally. It's simply a recognition that country clubs work best when members share common values and backgrounds. Monica leaned forward. Mr. Lawson, my husband and I both grew up middle class, worked hard, earned scholarships to excellent universities, built successful careers, and are raising 2 children with strong values. What specific aspect of our background suggests we wouldn't fit Pinehurst's culture? Lawson's face reddened slightly. I'm not suggesting anything negative about your background. I'm explaining how our membership process works. We have standards, and we maintain those standards carefully. Standards based on what criteria? Andre pressed. Based on 3 decades of experience managing this club, I know what type of members thrive here and what type don't. And frankly, Mr. Thompson, I'm not confident your family would be happy at Pinehurst. Let me be clear about what I'm hearing, Andre said, his voice calm but firm. You're suggesting that despite our professional credentials, financial qualifications, and stated interest in membership, we wouldn't fit Pinehurst's culture. You're citing vague concerns about shared backgrounds and comfort levels, and you're indicating there's a waiting list despite your website actively recruiting members. Is that accurate? I'm being honest about our membership process. Are you being honest, or are you trying to discourage a black family from joining your club? Lawson stood abruptly. That's an outrageous accusation. I've never discriminated against anyone based on race. This club has had black members. How many? Andre asked. I don't keep track of members by race. That would be inappropriate. But you just said you've had black members. How many currently? Lawson fumbled. A few. I don't have exact numbers. Andre pulled out his phone and opened a document. According to Pinehurst's most recent annual report, which is publicly available as part of the club's non-profit status, you have 427 members. Of those, 7 are black. That's 1.6% in a metro area that's 8% black. Those statistics don't account for who applies. We can't admit people who don't apply. Yet when a qualified black family does apply, you're telling us we wouldn't be comfortable here, citing culture fit and social connections. That's discrimination, Mr. Lawson. Lawson's jaw tightened. I'm going to end this interview. I don't appreciate being accused of discrimination in my own office. Your application will be reviewed by the membership committee, and you'll receive a decision in writing within 30 days. Now please leave. Monica gathered the children. Marcus, who'd been listening to the conversation, looked hurt and confused. Zoe seemed to sense the tension without understanding its source. As they walked toward the door, Andre turned back to Lawson. You mentioned you've managed this club for 30 years. That's a long time. But things change, Mr. Lawson. Ownership changes, policies change, and people who discriminate face consequences. Lawson's expression was dismissive. Is that a threat? It's an observation. Change is coming to Pinehurst, whether you're ready for it or not. They left the office, walked through the lobby past oil paintings of white club presidents, and got into Andre's Mercedes in the parking lot. Marcus spoke first.
"Dad, why didn't he want us to join?" Andre sighed, gripping the steering wheel. "Because he made assumptions about us based on our skin color. But you're rich, you're successful. Why does it matter?" "To some people it always matters," Monica said quietly. "Some people look at us and only see our race. They don't see our accomplishments or our character." Zoe, younger and less filtered, asked, "Can we go to a different country club, one that doesn't have mean people?" Andre looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror. "Actually, sweetheart, I have a better idea. We're going to make sure this country club stops being mean to people." He pulled out his phone and called his chief operating officer at Horizon Capital. "Sarah, it's Andre. I need you to draft an emergency meeting notice for Pinehurst Country Club staff leadership tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Everyone except Kenneth Lawson, and contact our corporate attorneys. We're terminating Lawson's employment for cause. I'll send you documentation within the hour." As he drove home, Andre began composing a detailed account of the membership interview, documenting every discriminatory statement Lawson had made, every coded phrase about culture fit and traditional neighborhoods, and every deflection when pressed on the club's lack of diversity. By the time he got home, he'd already begun constructing a plan, not just to fire Kenneth Lawson, but to transform Pinehurst Country Club into a model for inclusive private club operations in Arizona. Kenneth Lawson had discriminated against the wrong family. He'd turned away the owner of his own country club, and by tomorrow morning, his 30-year career would be over. At 8:47 a.m. the next morning, Kenneth Lawson arrived at Pinehurst Country Club for what he assumed would be a normal workday. He found an email from Sarah Martinez, Horizon Capital's COO, requesting his presence in the club's main conference room at 9 a.m. for an urgent ownership meeting. Lawson was confused. He knew the club had new owners, but he hadn't been briefed on their plans or identity. He assumed this would be his first introduction to whoever had purchased Pinehurst. He walked into the conference room at exactly 9 a.m. to find a gathering of Pinehurst's department heads, the golf pro, the head groundskeeper, the food and beverage manager, the facilities director, and the club accountant. All looked confused about why they'd been summoned. At the head of the conference table sat Andre Thompson. Lawson froze in the doorway. Recognition and horror washed over his face in rapid succession. "Mr. Lawson, please come in and close the door," Andre said calmly. Lawson entered slowly, his mind racing to make sense of what he was seeing. "Mr. Thompson, I wasn't expecting. What are you doing here? I own this country club. I purchased it through Horizon Capital Partners 3 days ago. The acquisition included the golf course, all facilities, and all operating entities, which means I'm your employer." Lawson's face went pale. The ownership group never informed me. That was intentional. I wanted to observe operations before revealing myself. And I'm glad I did, because yesterday's membership interview was very revealing." Andre pulled up his notes on a laptop and projected them onto the conference room screen. The other staff members watched silently, unclear where this was heading. "Yesterday, my family and I applied for membership at Pinehurst. During our interview, Mr. Lawson made the following statements." Andre read from his documented account. He suggested our neighborhood, Paradise Valley, didn't represent traditional Scottsdale demographics suitable for membership. He claimed the club requires shared experiences and connections from attending the same schools and belonging to the same business networks. He stated he wasn't confident my family would be comfortable at Pinehurst, and when pressed on the club's demographic composition, he became defensive and hostile. Andre looked at Lawson. "Would you like to explain to your colleagues what you meant by those statements?" Lawson stammered. "That's part of my job as membership director. Cultural fit based on what criteria? Based on ensuring new members integrate well with existing members. But you determined my family wouldn't integrate well before knowing anything about us beyond our application. 2 professionals with strong credentials, financial qualifications, and community connections. What specifically made you decide we wouldn't fit?" Lawson had no answer. Andre continued. "I've spent the past 12 hours reviewing Pinehurst's membership data. Of 427 members, 7 are black, 11 are Latino, and 14 are Asian American. That's 7.5% combined for all people of color in a metro area where minorities represent over 30% of the population." He pulled up more data. "I've also reviewed membership applications from the past 5 years. During your tenure, Mr. Lawson, Pinehurst received applications from 73 families of color. You approved 8. That's an 11% approval rate. For white applicants, the approval rate was 67%. One of the staff members, the golf pro, spoke up. "Kenneth, is that true?" Lawson's defensive posture returned. "Those numbers don't reflect the whole story. Many of those applicants weren't qualified. I reviewed the applications," Andre said. "Most had comparable or superior qualifications to white applicants who were approved. The difference wasn't qualification. It was race." He pulled up specific examples. "Here's an application from Dr. James Martinez, an emergency room physician, denied membership. Your notes say, may not fit club culture. Here's an application from Kevin Chen, a senior partner at a law firm, also denied with notes about uncertain social integration. Here's another from Angela Williams, a corporate executive, denied with concerns about compatibility with existing member base. Andre looked at Lawson. Every one of these applicants was more than qualified. Every one was rejected with vague language about fit and culture. And every one was a person of color. The room was silent. The other staff members were staring at Lawson with expressions ranging from shock to disgust. Lawson tried once more. I was protecting the club's character. Members expect a certain environment. Members expect a club that doesn't discriminate, Andre corrected. And as the owner of this club, I expect managers who follow the law. You violated federal civil rights laws, Arizona state anti-discrimination statutes, and this club's own bylaws that explicitly prohibit membership discrimination. He nodded to Sarah Martinez, who slid a document across the table to Lawson. Kenneth Lawson, your employment at Pinehurst Country Club is terminated effective immediately for discriminatory membership practices. You'll be paid through today. Your access to club systems has been revoked. Security will escort you to collect your personal items. Lawson looked around the table desperately, seeking support. He found none. This is unfair. I've given 30 years to this club. I've built the membership program. You've built a discriminatory membership program that's cost this club revenue, reputation, and compliance with the law. Andre interrupted. You turned away dozens of qualified applicants because of their race. Yesterday you did it to me, my wife, and my children. And now you're facing the consequences. Security guards entered the conference room. Lawson stood slowly, defeated, and followed them out. After he left, Andre addressed the remaining staff. I apologize that your first meeting with me as owner happened this way, but I need you all to understand that Pinehurst is changing. The discrimination that's been practiced here ends today. Over the next hour, Andre outlined his vision for transforming Pinehurst into an inclusive, welcoming country club that served the full diversity of Scottsdale's population, while maintaining excellence in golf, dining, and family programming. The news of Kenneth Lawson's termination spread quickly through Pinehurst's membership. Reactions were divided. Some members, particularly younger families and professionals, supported the change and welcomed more inclusive membership practices. Others, particularly longtime members who'd known Lawson for decades, were resistant and defensive. A group of 12 members, led by a retired real estate developer named Harrison Mitchell, circulated a petition demanding Lawson's reinstatement and threatening to resign their memberships if he wasn't brought back. Andre scheduled a special membership meeting to address the concerns. On a Tuesday evening 2 weeks after Lawson's termination, over 200 members gathered in Pinehurst's ballroom. Andre stood at a podium and addressed the crowd. Thank you all for coming. I know there's been significant discussion about recent changes at Pinehurst, particularly Kenneth Lawson's termination. I want to be transparent about why that action was necessary. He explained, without revealing his family's personal experience initially, the statistical evidence of discriminatory membership practices over the previous 5 years. He showed the disparity in approval rates between white applicants and applicants of color. He shared examples of qualified candidates who'd been rejected with vague language about culture fit. This isn't about political correctness or changing Pinehurst's character, Andre said. It's about following the law and creating a club that truly represents excellence. Excellence in golf, in facilities, in service, and in values. And excellent values include treating all qualified applicants fairly. Harrison Mitchell stood. Mr. Thompson, with all due respect, private clubs have the right to determine their own membership criteria. Kenneth was protecting Pinehurst's traditions. Private clubs have some discretion in membership decisions, Andre agreed. But that discretion doesn't include racial discrimination. Federal law is clear, Arizona law is clear, and Pinehurst's own bylaws, which you all agreed to when you joined, explicitly prohibit discrimination. He clicked to a new slide showing excerpts from Pinehurst's bylaws. Section 7, Paragraph 3. Pinehurst Country Club does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, or gender in its membership policies. That's been in the bylaws since 1987. Kenneth violated those bylaws repeatedly. A younger member, a woman in her 30s, stood. I'm glad you're addressing this. My husband and I joined Pinehurst 2 years ago. We're both attorneys, and frankly we've been uncomfortable with how homogeneous the membership is. Change is overdue. Several other members voiced similar support, but the resistance remained, particularly from older long-time members who viewed the changes as an attack on their club. Andre made a decision. It was time to reveal his personal stake. I want to share something with you. 3 weeks ago, before most of you knew I was the new owner, my family and I applied for membership at Pinehurst. I wanted to experience the application process as a regular prospective member. He described the interview with Kenneth Lawson, the coded language about traditional neighborhoods, and culture fit, the suggestion that his family wouldn't be comfortable, and the defensive hostility when questioned about the club's demographics. My 14-year-old son heard a country club director tell us we didn't belong. My 11-year-old daughter asked why the man was being mean to us. My wife, a pediatric surgeon who saves children's lives, was told she might not fit the club's social culture. And I, a managing partner at an investment firm who just purchased this entire property, was dismissed as an unsuitable applicant. The ballroom was completely silent now. This wasn't just a business decision to terminate Kenneth Lawson. It was personal, because what he did to my family he's been doing to other families for years, and it stops now. Andre's voice strengthened. To those of you who want Kenneth reinstated, I understand he was here for 30 years. I understand you had relationships with him, but he discriminated against people, including me and my family. If that's the price of maintaining tradition, then that tradition needs to end. If you choose to resign your membership over this, I respect that decision, but know that Pinehurst is moving forward with inclusive membership practices, whether you stay or not. We will actively recruit diverse members, we will ensure everyone receives fair consideration, and we will build a club that reflects the excellence and diversity of Greater Phoenix.
Harrison Mitchell and his group stood and walked out of the ballroom. They represented 12 families who ultimately resigned their memberships over the following month. But for every family that left, 3 new families joined, drawn by Pinehurst's commitment to inclusive excellence. Within 6 months, membership had increased by 47 families, with significantly greater diversity across race, age, and background. The club's financial performance improved dramatically. The new members brought fresh energy, younger demographics who spent more on food and beverage, and professional connections that led to increased corporate event bookings. 1 year after Kenneth Lawson's termination, Pinehurst Country Club was featured in Golf Digest as a case study in how country clubs can thrive through inclusive membership. The article interviewed several members, including some of the families of color who joined after the reforms. Dr. James Martinez, the emergency room physician, previously denied membership. When I first applied years ago, Kenneth Lawson told me I might not fit in. When Andre Thompson took over and reached out to previously rejected applicants, I gave Pinehurst another chance. The difference is night and day. I'm now on the tournament committee, and my kids take junior golf lessons here. Kevin Chen, the law firm partner. My family loves Pinehurst. We were initially skeptical given the club's history, but the changes are real. The staff is welcoming, the other members are friendly, and we finally have a country club where we feel we belong. The article noted that Pinehurst's transformation had inspired other Arizona country clubs to examine their own membership practices. 2 other Scottsdale clubs implemented similar inclusive membership reforms, citing Pinehurst's success as a model. 3 years after the incident, Kenneth Lawson had left Arizona entirely. According to reports, he'd moved to Florida, where he worked in a much diminished role at a small municipal golf course. His career in country club management was over, his reputation destroyed by his documented pattern of discrimination. In a rare interview with an Arizona Republic reporter writing about country club discrimination, Lawson gave his most honest assessment. I thought I was protecting Pinehurst. I thought maintaining a certain membership composition was part of my job. I didn't see it as discrimination because I was never explicit about race. I used language about culture fit and shared backgrounds. But looking back, I was gatekeeping based on race. I was keeping out qualified people because they didn't look like the existing members. Andre Thompson and his family were more than qualified. They were perfect country club members on paper. I rejected them because they were black. I lost my career. I lost my reputation. I had to leave Arizona. But the worst part is knowing how many families I hurt over the years. How many children like Marcus and Zoe Thompson heard me tell their parents they didn't belong. I can't undo that. Whether Lawson's remorse was genuine or simply recognition of consequences remained unclear, but the impact of his termination was undeniable. 5 years after the incident, Andre Thompson stood on the terrace of Pinehurst Country Club, now officially holding a family membership rather than just owning the property. His children, Marcus, now 19, and Zoe, 16, were both accomplished junior golfers who'd competed in tournaments at Pinehurst. Monica had joined the club's board of directors and had spearheaded a scholarship program providing free junior golf instruction to underprivileged youth in Phoenix. The club had been transformed. Membership was now 31% people of color, reflecting Greater Phoenix's demographics. The staff was diverse at all levels, and Pinehurst had become known not just for its golf course but for its commitment to inclusive excellence. Andre watched his son tee off on the 18th hole, hitting a perfect drive down the center of the fairway. Marcus was headed to college in the fall on a partial golf scholarship, and his love of the game had been nurtured at the very club that had initially tried to exclude his family. Monica joined Andre on the terrace. "Remember when Kenneth Lawson told us we wouldn't be comfortable here?" Andre smiled. "I remember. I also remember him saying change was coming, whether he was ready or not. He didn't realize I was the one bringing that change. Do you think he understands now what he did wrong? Maybe, but whether he understands isn't what matters. What matters is that Pinehurst changed, that dozens of families who would have been excluded are now members, that their children are learning golf and making friends and belonging to a community that should have welcomed them all along." As the sun set over the Sonoran Desert, casting golden light across the green fairways, Andre reflected on the journey from that humiliating membership interview to this moment of belonging. Kenneth Lawson had discriminated against the wrong family, not because the Thompsons were more important than the other families he'd rejected over the years, but because Andre had the power and determination to ensure that what happened to his family wouldn't keep happening to others. One act of discrimination had exposed a systemic problem. One person's power, used responsibly, had transformed an institution, and one country club's painful reckoning with its discriminatory past had created a more inclusive future. That was the real victory. Not revenge against Kenneth Lawson, but the knowledge that Marcus and Zoe and dozens of other children of color could now grow up playing golf at a club where they truly belonged, where they were welcomed not despite their race, but simply as members of the Pinehurst family.
Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.